Boy, do I have something stirred up for you. Man, this is incredible. The guy who wrote, excuse me, the guy who wrote Mandy. Well, it was Brandy, but it became Mandy. He's on Billboard's Hot 100, March 14th, 1964. Let's bring it up right now at number 77. Before we go into that, to put it in this perspective, some of the other big hits, some of the big hits off this Hot 100 that you might remember that are moving up. Twist and Shout by the Beatles, debuting at 55. There are about 7 songs by the Beatles on this Hot 100. The British Invasion, it's coming in strong. I mean, we're talking about a tsunami, a Beatles tsunami. Twist and Shout debuting at number 55. But we got, remember Devotions, Rip Van Winkle at number 57. Dead Man's Curve by Jan and Dean at number 59. The Hippie Hippie Shake by the Swingin' Blue Jeans at number 61. Up from 80 the previous week. But the song I want to talk to you about, God, this is doo-wop. It's classic doo-wop. Scott English, High on a Hill, channeling the Capris, the Castells, and this song sounds a lot like the Fireflies, You're Mine, which came out back in 1959. Scott English from Brooklyn. His first record was 4,000 Miles Away. That was off of Dot Records in 1964. And then he came out with this doo-wop opus, High on a Hill, 1964. It was a hit in some areas. It did well in San Francisco. It was consistently voted as a very popular record by the Pittsburgh Oldie stations, Pittsburgh, PA, but was not a national hit. But no matter. Later on in the 60s, Scott English teamed up with Larry West. And guess what song they wrote? Bend Me, Shape Me. It was originally done by the Outsiders. Then it was covered by the American Breed. They had the hit with it late 67, early 68. And Amen Corner had a hit with that song in 1968. In England, the British hit by Amen Corner of Bend Me, Shape Me. Boy, these two guys, they had it both ways. Those royalty checks must have been pretty hefty. They also wrote Help Me Girl, which was not a real big hit, but it was a relatively decent-sized hit by the Animals back in 1966. Scott English, get this, Scott English produced Thin Lizzy's first album, their self-titled debut album. He produced it. 1971, and in 1971, summer 71, in London, he teamed up, Scott English teamed up with Richard Kerr, and they wrote Brandy. Brandy became a hit in England. In the fall of 71, Scott English went to number 12. He sang it. It was released here in the States, but it bombed. Barely made the Hot 100. Thinking it went up to something like 92, 96. Just, it was ignored. But Barry Manilow revived that song. It underwent a name change. It was differently arranged. It was called Mandy. It was Clive Davis who unearthed Brandy and suggested that Barry Manilow cover the song, which Barry Manilow was reluctant to do, but he did. His first mammoth hit. Taking an obscure Scott English record and took it to number 1. But we're in 1964 right now, and High on a Hill by Scott English only got as high as number 77 on Billboard's Hot 100 for 5 weeks. Doo-wop. Man, it's a great record. Scott English on Billboard's Hot 100, March 14th, 1964.